right, so 1,000 banks will blow over the next 2 years. Tremendous real estate, commercial real estate crisis, continuing contraction, current unemployment 21%. Congressional Budget Office, CBO, estimates 2.3 to 3 million more unemployed in 2010. This will take the official rate well over 10, 11%. And as a result, in response to all this, what does Obama do? Obama reappoints helicopter Ben Bernanke to another term at the Fed. Hope and change, hope and change. A Republican nominee, a reactionary, a monetarist, an Austrian practically, a failure. It is Helicopter Ben who has presided over $24 trillion of bailouts to zombie banks, zombie hedge funds, derivatives mongers, hedge fund hyenas, and so forth. Notice that 0% lending at the Fed is available only to banks, only to hedge funds, only to financial institutions. Nothing for Detroit, nothing for Silicon Valley, nothing for biotech, nothing for pharma, nothing for anybody except banks. The government of Wall Street, by Wall Street, for Wall Street. It is the bankers' dictatorship, the dictatorship of finance capital in the most extreme form we've ever seen. Industrial capital crushed, commercial capital crushed, as we've been hearing. So now Obama has merged himself, he has amalgamated himself with the worst features of the Bush regime financial policies, and he's done it more than one way. Geithner, of course, at the Federal Reserve of New York City, the New York Federal Reserve District, presided over that infamous meeting on the Lehman weekend, September 15th, 2008. This was that secret cabal with all the people, Vikram Pandit, Jamie Dimon, Ken Lewis, and so forth, right? Representatives of the Federal Reserve and the Treasury. That is where the idea of the bailout obviously emerged. And that was the idea then to let Lehman go down when Barclays Bank, after more or less indicating that they would buy it, dumped it, making the crisis irreversible very late in the day. There's a whole story to be told about Perfide Albion, the perfidious British, and the role of Barclays Bank in bringing down Lehman Brothers, within, of course, the framework of a real panic that was undoubtedly going on, which had roots reaching back decades. So that's Geithner. Geithner was then put in at the Treasury, and now this was Obama's chance to say, well, I'm different from Bush. I'm not the same kind of Wall Street puppet that Bush was, because Bush was too. I'm at least a different kind of Wall Street puppet. But no, we've got to have Bernanke now resubmitted. Well, get your testimony ready. Time to demonstrate, time to testify against Bernanke, because at least he's got to go through Senate confirmation hearing. So this is now the absolute bankruptcy of the Obama regime. It couldn't be clearer. All that stuff about hope and change can't fool anybody now, can it? I don't see how. So even the left liberals will have their eyes opened at the rate that we're currently going. Now let's look at health care for a minute here. We have limited time. The death boards, the death panels, do they exist? You bet they exist. The Obama health care proposal includes IMAC and MedPAC. We've talked about this. MedPAC on steroids and IMAC. What are these? IMAC, Independent Medicare Advisory Council. It is demanded by the Malthusian genocidal bureaucrat Peter Orszag of the OMB, the budget director. This is the bean counter. This is the pointy-headed bureaucrat, the genocidalist, because that's what he is. The guy who says you should not have a colonoscopy, you should not have an MRI, you should not have a CAT scan, you should not have a PSA, you should not have a mammogram. Forget all that. That's too expensive. We'll give you some pills for the pain when it turns out that you had cancer or whatever it was. So to prevent increases in spending, Orszag has demanded, and this is in legislation, there's IMAC Act of 2009, supported by Obama, with Orsag leading the charge. The Independent Medicare Advisory Council is there to cut costs at your expense. Your operation, your procedure, your test will be disallowed based on this monstrosity of the quality-adjusted years of life, right? QALY, the QALYs, quality-adjusted life years. In other words, if you're 75 and obese or a smoker, goodbye. You will be subjected to triage, meaning euthanasia. Now, the big opposition, as I've always argued here, the people going to these town hall meetings, in their majority, are attempting to defend New Deal programs. They want to defend the New Deal and the Great Society because those are their economic rights. Some argue, Ron Paul argues, that you don't have the right to health care. Well, you do have a right to health care. It is an inalienable right. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What does life mean? Well, the definition of that has evolved, and right now it includes longevity and therefore health care. If it's not a right, it's just a commodity, and commodities are left to the market. And, well, you know, you may get your new car or you may not. That's fine. But when it comes to, you don't have a right to a new car, but you do have a right to health care, because if the market, for example, markets, of course, are notoriously unreliable. Markets are insane. Markets have bubbles. Markets have crashes to correct the bubbles. They have disintegrations. They have breakdown crises. The markets are completely tempestuous. It is absolutely impossible to leave the right to life, guaranteed through the construction of the Constitution based on the Declaration of Independence. That can't be left to a market. It's too important. Luxury goods, whether you get them or not, even amenities, whether you get them or not, those are not rights. But the right to health care is a right. And that is what a lot of these people are concerned about. There are a lot of loudmouth Republican operatives, foundation operatives, and think tank operatives, and public relations firms operatives who try to hijack the town meetings with their primitive, reactionary, monstrous ideologies. But a lot of people are there that they've understood Obama is attacking Medicare. Obama is attacking the New Deal. He's not FDR. He's the anti-FDR. He's not the New Deal. He's the anti-New Deal. Now, the House bill approved by Barkey calls for $500 to $600 billion in Medicare cuts. Now, let's look at the situation. Michael Steele, the reactionary Republican from Maryland here, has given an interview where he says, well, we don't agree with Obama's plan, but there's one thing we can agree on. We want targeted Medicare cuts. That's what we've been arguing here the whole time. The entire Republican Party and the Obama gang agree that they want to strip you of your economic rights under the New Deal, that you should not have Medicare. You should not have the right to health care. So Steele essentially says the compromise that he can see is to destroy Medicare, because on the one hand, the baby boom cohort, the post-war generation, is now approaching 65. They don't want to pay. This is the entire urgency. The reason that the current situation is unsustainable is that after looting Medicare for all these years, right, by Bush and by others, you now have a time when you've got to provide some health care, and they want to weasel out of that under these ideologies. Notice also the blue dog Democrats, worse than useless, their main demand is also to gouge Medicare. We had a moment of honesty here in Fort Collins, Colorado. Congresswoman Betsy Markey saying, we're going to have massive Medicare cuts. People will have to have sacrifices. So that's the reality. We'll be back in a minute.